Ladies and gentlemen, life does not change by accident. It changes by decision. And decision without discipline is nothing more than a wish. The truth is this: you are living today in the harvest of the habits you planted yesterday. If you want a different tomorrow, you must plant new seeds today. And I dare to tell you, in 30 days, just 30 days, you can begin to rewire not only your routine, not only your thoughts, but the very direction of your destiny. The question is, are you willing to pay the price of change? Everything you see in your life today is first born in the womb of your thoughts. Your mind is not a playground. It is a battlefield. And the enemy's greatest weapon is not disease, not poverty, not even war. It is suggestion. He whispers into your thought life. And if you allow that whisper to stay, it builds a fortress that begins to shape your actions. Guarding your mind is not an option. It is a matter of survival. If a farmer leaves his field unattended, weeds will grow without permission. The soil does not ask whether to produce. It simply obeys what is planted. Your mind is no different. Every thought that enters, whether holy or destructive, has the potential to take root. And if for 30 days you refuse to let toxic weeds take hold, if you flood your soil with truth, with wisdom, with words of light, you will see a transformation that no doctor, no politician, no motivational seminar can manufacture. Look around your community today. Violence begins as a thought. Corruption begins as a thought. Division begins as a thought. No child is born hating. Hatred is taught, planted, rehearsed in the theater of the mind. If we want to rebuild broken communities, we must first rebuild the thought life of the individuals within them. That is why change must begin in your mind. Some of you are carrying thoughts that are not even yours. Thoughts handed down by bitter parents, by a broken system, by social media that profits off your insecurity, and you rehearse those lies until they feel like truth. I am nothing, I will never succeed. This is just my life. But I came to tell you, you do not have to be the prisoner of another man's words. In 30 days, you can evict every lie that has been squatting in the house of your mind. You must be intentional. Replace the noise with meditation. Replace gossip with reading that lifts you higher. Replace the endless feed of entertainment with silence that allows you to think. Remember, an unguarded mind will always become someone else's playground, but a guarded mind becomes a fortress, unshaken by the storms of life. So tonight, hear me well. If you desire to rewire your life, start with your thoughts, because the mind you tolerate today will become the future you live in tomorrow. And your community is waiting for you to think differently, because when one mind shifts, it gives permission for many others to rise. There is something sacred about the morning. The breaking of day is not just a routine of the earth spinning. It is heaven's daily invitation for a fresh beginning. The sun rises not because you deserve another chance, but because mercy has renewed itself without asking your permission. Yet, many squander the gift of dawn by burying their heads under the pillow while opportunity knocks at the door. Show me a person who rules their mornings, and I will show you a person who governs their destiny. Nations have been rebuilt, books have been written, inventions have been birthed, not in the noise of the afternoon, but in the stillness of morning where distractions have not yet awakened. The hours before the world demands your attention are the hours when clarity visits. But if you spend them scrolling, snoozing, or drifting, you have already surrendered the battle before the day has even begun. Think of the eagle. It does not wait until the sun is high to spread its wings. At the break of dawn, it rises, not just to hunt, but to ascend above the storms that gather later. Those who rise early with intention and not laziness learn to mount up with wings like eagles. They gain a strength that the weary cannot understand. And let us bring it closer to our communities. Do you know why hopelessness is spreading among our young people? Because they have been taught to stay awake through the night, entertaining themselves into exhaustion, and then wake at noon, having lost the discipline of dawn. 30 days of reversing that habit could restore an entire generation's sense of direction. If our sons and daughters learned again to honor the sunrise with study, with prayer, with planning, with work, we would not only lift individuals, we would lift entire neighborhoods out of the trap of despair. Do not misunderstand me. Rising early is not about a clock. It is about a posture. It is not simply leaving your bed. It is rising in your spirit with determination. The lazy man rises and still wastes his day. The intentional man rises with a plan and his day obeys him. So I say to you, take just 30 days. Dedicate the first hour of every morning, not to the phone, not to the television, not to idle chatter, but to aligning your heart, your thoughts, and your hands with what is worth building. Because the one who owns the morning does not have to chase the evening. It will follow him. Words are not sounds. They are seeds. They do not vanish when they leave your lips. They travel, they build, they destroy, they heal. Nations have risen on the power of a speech, and nations have crumbled because of the poison of rhetoric. A single phrase has sent men to war, and a single sentence has brought them back to the table of peace. Never underestimate the weight of what leaves your mouth, for life and death still hang on the tongue like fruit waiting to be chosen. Many of us speak as though words are cheap, but let me tell you, careless words are expensive, for they mortgage the future of your children, your relationships, and your very community. A child grows up under the shadow of what was spoken over them. Say to a boy every day, you are stupid, and you will not need chains to bind him. Your words will do it. Tell a girl you are ugly, and you do not have to lock the door of her destiny. Your sentence will keep her imprisoned long after you are gone. But if you tell them you are capable, you are valuable, you are loved, then you give them wings, and no storm will stop them from flying. For 30 days, if you discipline your lips to release light instead of darkness, you will rewire not just your own life, but the environment around you. Bless your home when you wake. Speak over your health even when your body aches. Declare peace over your street even if gunshots echo through the night. You will find that your tongue is not only an instrument of personal change, it is a weapon for community transformation. Let me remind you, the greatest revolutions did not begin with armies. They began with words. I have a dream was not a military command, but it shook the foundations of injustice. Let my people go was not a policy proposal, but it broke the chains of slavery. Imagine if an entire community chose for just 30 days to stop cursing one another, stop tearing one another down, stop gossiping about one another, and instead began to bless, to affirm, to call out destiny. That community would not need a miracle. It would become the miracle. So I charge you today, measure every word, for your lips are architects. Build with them, create with them, heal with them, because the future is already listening. Greatness is not measured by how many people know your name, but by how many lives are changed because you lived. Service is not weakness. Service is power in its most noble form. The world has taught us to climb, to compete, to dominate. But the King of Heaven said the one who would be greatest must be the servant of all. You cannot rewire your life without rewiring your heart toward others. For 30 days, choose every day to serve in one small but intentional way. Bring bread to a neighbor who is struggling. Call the elder who has been forgotten. Listen, just listen to the story of a young man who feels invisible. You may think these acts are small, but service has a ripple effect. One drop of kindness becomes a wave that touches shores you will never see. Think of rivers. A river is never thirsty because it spends its life giving. It flows into cities, into fields, into villages, and in return it keeps moving, alive, fresh. But the pond that holds everything for itself becomes stagnant, poisoned, lifeless. In the same way, those who hoard their time, their resources, their gifts, eventually rot inside, while those who give flow with vitality. Our communities are suffocating not because resources are scarce, but because hearts have grown cold. We have been taught to ask, what's in it for me? Instead of, what can I do for you? That question alone has killed families, corrupted leadership, and left neighborhoods fractured. Imagine if for just 30 days, every household committed to one act of daily service. Streets filled with bitterness would turn into streets of hope. Schools would not just teach knowledge, but compassion. Even crime would wither because service teaches value. And where there is value, there is less violence. Do not wait for position to serve. The greatest servants are not those with titles, but those with towels in their hands. A crown is heavy, but a towel changes lives. Nations are healed not by rulers who demand, but by leaders who stoop to wash feet. So tonight I ask you, who will you serve tomorrow? Who will feel lighter because you crossed their path? Service is the true wealth of a life well lived. And if you make it your habit for 30 days, you will discover the secret that the more you give, the more alive you truly become. Discipline is the invisible bridge between where you are and where you are meant to be. Without it, even the greatest dreams collapse under their own weight. The truth is, people often fail, not because they lacked opportunity, not because they lacked talent, but because they refused to master the small things. We want to govern cities, yet we cannot govern our appetite. We want financial abundance, yet we cannot even manage $10 without waste. Until you respect the small, you will never qualify for the great. Consider the builder who ignores the alignment of a single brick. It seems insignificant at first, but give it time, and the entire wall leans, cracks, and eventually falls. Life is no different. A habit ignored today becomes the weakness that topples your tomorrow. For 30 days, if you begin to honor the little things, showing up on time, keeping your word, finishing what you start, you will discover that greatness was never a mystery. It was discipline applied consistently. Let me make it plain. If you cannot discipline your tongue to silence, you will gossip your way into broken relationships. If you cannot discipline your hands to work, you will beg from those who do. If you cannot discipline your eyes, you will wander after what is not yours and destroy what is. Discipline is not punishment. It is training. It is the gardener pruning a tree, not to harm it, but to make room for fruit. Our communities are crying out for discipline. Streets filled with unrest are not simply a problem of politics, but of self-control. Corruption in offices is not merely a legal issue, but a moral one, birthed from men and women who never learned to tell themselves no. 30 days of practicing discipline in our homes, parents showing restraint, children learning consistency, neighbors respecting boundaries, could begin to heal what laws and speeches alone cannot. The future belongs to the disciplined. The undisciplined will always be enslaved by their cravings, but the disciplined will rule their desires and therefore their destiny. So hear me tonight. Do not despise the small acts of discipline, for they are the foundation of greatness. Set your house in order, guard your time, train your body, commit your spirit, because the world is not waiting for more talkers. It is waiting for men and women whose lives are proof that discipline is the true mark of freedom. Vision is not eyesight. Eyesight sees what is, but vision sees what can be. A blind man without eyes can still have vision, but a man with perfect eyes and no vision is already walking in darkness. The tragedy of our time is not that people cannot see the road in front of them, but that they have no picture of a tomorrow worth walking toward. Without vision, families wander, leaders abuse, communities perish. For 30 days, I dare you to rise beyond the narrow walls of self-interest and ask the greater question: what am I building that outlives me? Too many are satisfied with surviving, with eating today and sleeping tonight, yet never consider what story their life will tell when they are gone. If all you do is feed yourself, clothe yourself, entertain yourself, then when you die, the world will not notice your absence. But if you choose vision, your life becomes a seed planted in generations you may never meet. Think of the men and women who built schools where they themselves could never study, who dug wells in villages they would never drink from, who fought for freedoms they would never fully enjoy. They understood that real vision is never selfish. It always lifts others. Imagine if an entire community committed 30 days to dreaming beyond self, writing down goals, not only for careers, but for neighborhoods, not only for profits, but for children, not only for individual success, but for collective dignity. Such vision would ignite a fire that no system could extinguish. Look around you. Broken families, hopeless youth, streets filled with despair. This is what happens when there is no vision guiding the people. But where there is vision, even deserts bloom. Vision gives discipline its direction, gives sacrifice its meaning, gives pain its purpose. A man with vision can endure storms because he knows where he is going. And let me tell you this, vision without action is hallucination. Write it, plan it, pursue it, and protect it. If your vision does not serve others, it is too small. If it does not honor God, it will not last. So in these 30 days, lift your eyes higher. Stop living only for bread, bills, and survival. Begin to live for legacy. Because the world does not need more consumers. It needs builders of futures, dreamers with courage, visionaries who dare to see beyond themselves. And when one man or woman chooses such vision, a community finds its way again. So I stand before you with this challenge. 30 days of new habits can ignite 30 years of transformation. Do not leave here tonight and treat these words as entertainment. Take them as an instruction. Begin tomorrow. Guard your mind, rise early, speak life, serve daily, practice discipline, and carry vision. Your family needs it. Your community cries for it, and heaven demands it. The change you desire is already within your grasp if you dare to begin.